Hello, Jasper. Okay, I am going to be beginning your first ever personalized audiobook. Whoop whoop. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of interject with my opinions and my thoughts randomly. So if you listen to this one, you're like, that's so annoying, just tell me to stop, and then the next one I'll just read. But who knows? I think you'd hearing what I think. Also, I got a new bookmark. It's really cute. It's an old movie reel. It's from the Cabaret. I don't know if any of you watched that yet, but it's a really good musical. It's one of my favorites. Okay. Today, I'm going to be reading to you Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. And I think I'm just going to send you in blind. I'm not going to read the summary or anything. So, hope that's all good. Okay. My mother gave birth to twins, myself and fear. Thomas Hobbes. Chapter 1. It didn't matter where I lived, mid-city, mid-Wilshire, Miracle Mile. It didn't matter where I worked. One Hollywood bullshit factory was equal to any other. All that matters was what I ate, when I ate, and how I ate it. Every day at 7:30, my alarm went off. I'd remove the night-soaked piece of nicotine gum from my mouth, put it on the nightstand, and replace it with a fresh piece. I'd begun smoking at 16 and was never without a cigarette. But when I started working at the talent management office, I was no longer able to smoke all day. I switched over to nicotine gum, which provided me a way to chew my cigarettes and always be indulging. Now, I was never without a piece of gum. It helped me skillfully restrict my food intake, providing both a distraction for my mouth and a speedy suppressant for my appetite. I bought the gum on eBay, stale and discounted, so that I could afford it. In market prices, I would have had a $300 a week habit. After popping a fresh piece, I'd get in the shower, drink a little water from the spigot, letting it mix with the coating from the gum. I prefer the coated varieties, Fruit Chill or Mint Blast, and did not count the coating in my daily caloric intake. Some days I worried about how many calories the coating was adding. After the shower, I popped another piece of gum. 2 more followed as I drove to work, heat blasting. This procession of gum was breakfast 1. Between breakfast 1 and breakfast 2, there was a stretch. Sometimes my blood sugar dropped so low that I feel dizzy and panicked, and it was still worth it to postpone breakfast 2, my first real food of the day, until 10:30 or 11. The later I started eating, the more food I could hoard for the back half of the day. Better to suffer now and have something to anticipate than to leave a big chunk of my day's food in the rearview mirror. That was the worst kind of suffering. If I made it to 11 with no food, I felt very good, almost holy. If I ate at 10:30, I felt bad, sullenly, without any negative feelings, quickly gave away to the rapture of consuming breakfast too. The meal consisted of an 8-ounce container of zero-fat Greek yogurt with 2 packets of Splenda mixed in, as well as a diet chocolate muffin top that could only be purchased at Gelson's supermarket. I was so emotionally dependent on these muffin tops that I feared what would happen in the event of a shortage. I bought 6 boxes at a time and stored them in my freezer. The muffin top was 100 calories and the yogurt was 90 calories, a perfect 1-2 punch of creaminess and sweetness, a symphony of flavor that couldn't hurt me. Ooh, I lost my place. My fondest time of the day was the instant I first put my spoon in the yogurt, just after sprinkling half a Splenda packet on top. In that moment, there was just so much left to eat, the muffin top not even touched, only a promise of chocolate. Afterwards, I always wished I'd eaten more slowly, so I could still have something left to look forward to. At the end of breakfast 2 was a sad time. I ate breakfast 2 seated at my desk directly across from another assistant named Andrew, who enjoyed NPR, natural peanut butter, and obscure Scandinavian films for the sake of their obscurity. Andrew's head was 1 size too small for his gangly body, he had pinched nostrils poised for disapproval, and he styled his hair in an ornate indie rocker shag that sat on his tiny head like a fright wig of cool. I knew he judged my use of chemical sweeteners, so I built a blockade with my file folders, IKEA cacti, and a battalion of coffee mugs at the front of my desk to block his prying eyes. I at least deserved some privacy to fully enjoy my ritual. Lunch was even trickier. At least 2 days a week, I was forced to join my boss, Brett Ofer, for lunch with clients, agents, and other industry people. I didn't like eating with others. Lunch was the crown jewel of the day, and I preferred to savor it solo, not waste it on food I haven't chosen. Ofer always made us go to the same restaurant, Last Crunch, which shared a parking garage with our office. He insisted that we get a bunch of small plates and split everything, family style, as though sharing a meatball made our clients feel like brethren. Who wanted Ofer as a relative? He acted like family was a good thing. At Last Crush, I was forced to contend with macaroni and cheese sliders and veal meatballs. Even the vegetables were tainted by interloping fats. Brussels sprouts choked with butter, mushrooms fried in breadcrumbs, cauliflower lost to a shiny glaze. The arugula salad I requested in my contribution to the smorgasbord was but a slippery cadaver, death by oil. Goodbye. On these outings, I would eat tiny portions of 3 of the dishes, assigning 100 calories each portion and then adding an extra 100 to the total for anything I'd missed. While the algebraic formula was imperfect, it allowed me some illusion of control. But Ofer was always trying to haze me into eating more. Who wants the last slider? Rachel, I know you're thinking about it, he taunted, before breaking into a chant. Do it, do it, do it. Ofer was an internal frat brother. He believed in loyalty, community, not because we had any real connection as individuals, but because we were part of the same something. As he extolled the virtues of our collaborative office culture, his bald head gleaming, a fleck of veal meatball on his lower lip, I imagined him delivering the same spiel to Alpha Pilsen Pie pledges 2 decades prior. Do you know how lucky you are? You could be working at Management 180, where nobody shares a goddamn lead on anything. You could be on Delton Upstill, drinking your brother's piss. Ofer had started in the mailroom at Gersh and worked his way up to agent. 9 years later, he left the cutthroat agency world to open a talent management company, The Crew, which made him think he had a soul. Worse yet, his wife had just given birth to twin daughters, and he now identified as a feminist. Ofer was acquiring a perfunctory knowledge of social justice as dictated by the think pieces on diversity, inclusion, and equal pay in The Hollywood Reporter. He made constant references to his privilege, also our privilege to be working there. It bothered him that I didn't feel lucky to be a part of the family. Talent management was not my dream, and this hurt him. When I was forced to go to the Last Crush with Ofer and the clients, I was on my own for lunch. When I wasn't forced. There were good days. First, I would go to Subway, where they listed calories for everything online. I would get a chopped salad with double turkey, lettuce, tomato, banana peppers, pickles, and olives. It was a magic salad, packing explosive flavor into modest caloric in total of 160. Most of the time, my sandwich artist was a cute USC kid who piled his dreadlocks on top of his head to give him 4 inches of extra height. He always asked if I wanted sauce, the word for dressing at Subway, and I always told him no. Thankfully, he never questioned my choice, but sometimes he failed to incorporate the abundance of lettuce that gave the Subway salad its crucial bulk. Occasionally, I had another sandwich artist, a ginger-haired teen with Invisalign. This guy made a mean salad. The lettuce really flowed, but he was far too interested in connecting with me as a person. The moment I walked into the door, he would call out, "Hey, double turkey," and I'd be like, "Hi, thanks, no photos." I didn't have to tell him that I wanted no sauce because he always remembered, muttering, "No sauce, no sauce." But every few salads, he felt the need to interrogate me, asking, "Yo, why don't you use the sauce? It's free." And I would just say, "I just don't like it. Too spicy, too wet," he'd ask. "Just salt and pepper, please," I'd say. I always ate the salad at one of the little outdoor patio tables outside Subway, though that wasn't ideal. On one hand, there was no way I was going to go eat inside the restaurant with the sandwich artist watching me, but when I ate outdoors, I became prey for any passerbys, including people from my office. It wasn't just that eating a Subway salad was inherently shameful, but I liked my food rituals be protected, fully differentiated from my work life as much as possible. This was mine and mine alone. It was not to be shared. So I ate outside, facing a stucco wall. I ate hungrily and greedily, sometimes shoving forkfuls of the turkey pickle pepper mixture into my mouth, other times seeking out a single ingredient, just like one olive on my fork. The triumph of my lunch was that it contained 2 courses, the grand salad and then frozen yogurt. I loved food that came in multiple parts, prolonging the experience. If I could be indefinitely eating, I would be. I had to restrict my intake, or I'd never not be putting something in my mouth. Subway was flanked by 2 frozen yogurt shops, Yogurt World and Yo Good. At Yogurt World, you get to serve yourself. No one manhandled your yogurt or toppings, and checkout was even automated. The grace was zero social interaction. At Yo Good, you had to order through a server, but their yogurt made it worth it. Yo Good had banana, caramel, and cake batter flavors that were fat-free, sugar-free, low-carb, and just 45 calories for half a cup. This meant that I could get a 16-ounce serving for 180 calories. At Yogurt World, the lowest calorie yogurts were 120 for 4 ounces. I had to get the kid size to rival Yo-Good's numbers. So I sacrificed privacy for the mathematic soundness and quality. I was grateful that the counter boy at Yo-Good had a little interest in talking to me. He was an Orthodox Jewish boy who looked about 19 or 20. He was quiet, polite, wore a blue yarmulke and curly payos. His gentleness made me feel sad. Also, the way he pronounced the word yogurt as yogurt, I felt like I could cry between the 2 syllables. There was an innocence there, a desire to please the customer, a recognition of the yogurt as a substance of great import, a calculated precision with the yogurt machine that felt like care. You didn't find that kind of focus in every food service every day. He also possessed a contained isolation, never handing me the yogurt cup directly, always placing it on the countertop in front of me, pointing to the counter to retrieve my money. No hand to hand. Our worlds not to touch. It was though he was a ghost from a lost time, or maybe just a time lost to me. Chapter 2. The Reformed synagogue I attended growing up in Short Hills, New Jersey, was way more Chanel bag Jew than Torah Jew. I felt most Jewish when my grandparents, also Reformed but deeply obsessed with Jewish food, would drive me to New York and take me on a tour of all the old culinary haunts of our tribe. My grandparents were considered medically obese. They'd both developed diabetes as a result of their weight, but food remained something to be celebrated. There were delicious, warm, buttered onion rolls and creamed herring at the kosher dairy restaurants, cabbage borscht and hot pastrami sandwiches at 2nd Avenue Deli. There were black and white cookies from William Greenberg Desserts, pints and quarts of pickle, sour, half sour, and sweet, from Gus's on Essex Street. When I got back from New York, my mother would ask for a full report of what I had eaten. "Do you want to be chubby, or do you want boys to like you?" she'd say. My grandparents were only a brief respite from the universe. My mother was what the universe was really about. My mother, the sun. My mother, the rules. My mother, God herself. My mother was the highest priestess of food, the religion of our household. Abstain, abstain, abstain. My mother, with her archaic ideas of dieting, melon and cottage cheese, tuna and carrot sticks, Melba toast. My mother, the judge, storming into the dressing room at... Wait, real quick, abstain means to, purposely, stop yourself from, consuming or doing certain things. At children's clothing shop, me at age 6, her whispering, "Look, Amy Dickinson in that dress. Now look at you." It was a whisper that implanted itself in me, a whisper that stuck. I was softly plump like a dumpling and short. She feared the shortness would lead to more weight gain, and that it would make the weight show. She saw future pain, frightened that I would grow up to be like her parents, whose obesity had caused her shame, or her fat cousin Wendy, who was unhappy. I wondered if I could go back and rescue myself from that dressing room. Would I do it? I probably wouldn't. I thought that soft little girl was disgusting too. Oh, that's so sad. The more my mother restricted my food intake, the more I binged in secret. She didn't understand why I was expanding, that I was stealing candy from convenience stores, eating other kids' lunches in the coat room. She eyed me from across the birthday parties. I chewed a piece of cake. She threatened to ask my teachers what I was eating if I gained more weight. Once a month, I was weighted on a scale at the YMCA. She didn't yell in public, but in the car, I would cry in the back seat. At 16, I began restricting my food intake for myself. I developed an arsenal of tricks. Diet Coke, cigarettes, fake sweetened everything, meal delay, steamed vegetables, never eating with others. My grandparents and I took our trip to New York, but the restaurants that were once my temples had become a threat. I fended off the cheese blintzes, niches, and Schneckton, replaced cherry Hampshire with Dr. Brown's diet soda. I slurped around the Mazzo balls, set boundaries with bagels, and found safety in pickles. So low calorie. Bronenbachem. For years, I couldn't be thin enough. Then, in an instant, I was too thin. If I had 20 pounds to lose, I lost 45. I wanted to stay there forever. I pared my food back further: spinach, broccoli, steamed chicken. I called it my Spartan regimen. I felt high on my sacrifice. But I was freezing all the time. I lived in the bathtub. A downy fur grew on my body. My period stopped. At night, I dreamt of wild buffets. My hip bones chafed against the bed. At school, there were whispers. My mother said nothing. One night, I was shivering so badly I got scared I would die. I have to tell you something, I said to my mother. I think I have an eating disorder. Anorexia, maybe? Anorexics are much skinnier than you, she said. They look like a concentration camp victims. They have to be hospitalized. You aren't anorexic. I haven't gotten my period in months. This troubled her. My fertility was important. She wanted grandchildren one day. She sent me to a nutritionalist who helped me increase my daily calorie intake. We did it slowly, methodically, with charts and lists that reduced every food to its serving size and caloric value. I went from freezing to just cold. The shaking stopped, the fur disappeared, I could sleep on my stomach. The whispers got quiet. I bled again, but I remained engrossed in calories. The constant mathematics in my head never went away. Chapter 3. As I waited in line at the Yo-Good, I plotted the concoctions I would create if I ever found myself magically immune to calories. I envisioned red velvet yogurt dripping in caramel, freckled with silvers of Snickers. I buried a dulce de leche yogurt in marshmallow sauce and then poured a steam of crumbled Oreos over its sweet head. On a Dutch chocolate planet lived every species of gummy: bear, worm, fish, penguin, dino, and peach ring. It snowed Reese's Pieces and chocolate sprinkles on a cake buttered mountain. They had everything. Strawberries in syrup, cookie dough balls, tiny white chocolate nonpareils in a rainbow of pastel shades. They had hot fudge, warm caramel, and a butterscotch sauce that hardened the moment of impact. They had a diet version of the hot fudge that made me consider, what if I just had a drizzle? But the nebulous calorie count of the drizzle imposed too many variables. I feared that if I tried the sauce once, I'd never eat my yogurt without it again. I didn't trust myself to taste the fudge and let go. Thankfully, the Orthodox boy didn't say no topping, the way the Subway sandwich artist always said no sauce. I watched him closely as he pumped the yogurt, inspecting to make sure that he didn't go over the top. That airspace was calorically unaccountable. When he reached the top, I called out, "Stop!" He stopped right away, brought the cup over to the register, and pleasantly issued the total for the yogurt. Other than in his politeness, he showed no recognition that I was a regular customer. I was thankful for that. I had consumed the first 3/4 of the cup at the back corner table inside Yo-Good, facing 2 walls. I was always cold, but I preferred to eat inside the chilly yogurt parlor than outside the sunny tables, because they were popular. I had a specific style and rhythm with which I liked to eat the yogurt, and I didn't want anyone watching me. First, I licked around the sides of the cup to get the melty parts. Then, I put the spoonful after spoonful of the cooler stuff in my mouth and squeegeed it back and forth between my teeth to liquefy it. For the final quarter of the yogurt, I abandoned my method and headed outside with what remained in the cup. Those last 5 minutes in the sun felt like Eden. The end of Eden, really, because the freezing office raided. They kept it so deeply air-conditioned that I wore a puffer jacket at my desk. But in those last few moments of warmth, I communed with the dregs of the yogurt and imagined the sun was penetrating me, creating a force field that could live internally and heat me throughout the rest of the day. Then I re-entered office and puffered up again. The afternoon was mostly spent obsessing about my forthcoming snack, a chocolate chunk, double chunk chocolate cookie, a chocolate chunk protein bar that contained 180 calories. On good days, I could delay the bar, a beacon of sweetness, and hope to look forward to, until I left the office at 6 for the gym. On bad days, I opened the wrapper at my desk just to sniff it and gobbled it up. I was so enamored by that protein bar, its candy bar taste, the creaminess and the power of satiate packed in my body. I recently had been devastated when, in studying the wrapper, I discovered there had been a sneaky increase of 20 calories. When did this happen?